Hi, friends. Gene Valentino. Well, with over 5 continents and over 100 nations around the world, the gentleman I have with me today is my guest on Grassroots Truthcast, Mr. Chris Ruddy. Chris is the founder and CEO of Newsmax, which, what a difference 12 months makes. In that period of time, we've had the privilege of meeting with Chris and on several occasions, and we've watched a story unfold that is now worldwide and global. Folks, welcome Chris Ruddy from Florida. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm always good being on with you, Gene. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for finding time to squeeze us in on your busy schedule. Folks, it was less than a year ago. Chris announced a public offering, an initial public offering, an IPO to the public, and then a follow-up offering, which totaled over $200 million, which was subscribed into on time or ahead of schedule. And as a consequence, Mr. Ruddy's here today to discuss the excitement of where Newsmax is going. Over 40 million watchers and viewers nearly daily throughout the nation, but geometrically more in the continents around the world, which we're going to talk about right after this.
This is Chris Ruddy, and I love Gene Valentino's Grassroots Truth Cast. Make sure you're tuning in just like I do every day, every week, every minute.
Throughout history, the spirit.
Hi, folks. Gene Valentino here with the Grassroots Truthcast with my guest, my very special guest, Chris Ruddy. Chris, welcome aboard.
Gene, thank you for having me. Always great to be on with you.
You and I met over a year ago, and during that period of time, it was such an exciting story to watch and listen to the incubation of a wonderful concept that has grown worldwide. You know, we see that over 86% of Americans are now moving to streaming digital iPhone, iPads for their daily news appetite. And the old days of broadcast journalism and the platforms, as you and I remember them to be, are not disappearing, but would you say falling by the wayside?
Well, look, I think the rise of Newsmax is a sign the old media is dying. I mean, with relatively small amount of capital, Newsmax is now Reuters Institute study. We're one of the top 12 news brands in the United States. We reach, as you say, 40 million Americans regularly. You and I remember the days when Time and Newsweek did a million magazine copies a week and they were considered powerhouses. And we can reach 40 million people in hours, if not days. I think it's a pretty big testament to the value of Newsmax and you mentioned the public offering. We had huge success. We raised approximately $300 million with the pre-IPO and the IPO. We went public on March 31st. Huge amount of interest. The stock has done really well on the New York Stock Exchange. I think it's up over 100% from our IPO price of $10 a share. And I think it's a sign not only are Americans supporting us because they want us to grow, but they see us as a good business. Fox has long dominated this market. Now Newsmax has taken a big chunk.
Yeah, and you were one of the dozens of media outlets, I'd guessed, just a decade ago. I wouldn't say floundering. You were on a great growth plan, but it moved up to the cusp of a of major observation and view by all consumers out there. And I think the reason is what you alluded to, a fair and balanced delivery of journalism to the world. Would you say Newsmax finds itself more conservative, more liberal? Do you find yourself down the middle? How do you stay out of siding with one side or the other?
Gene, good question, and it's a fair question. Every media should be asked that. You know, they'll always say they're neutral and they're fair. 80% of the press coverage, major press coverage, and this was from a study of the 24 election to Kamala Harris, was very positive. 90% of the press coverage of Donald Trump was very negative. That's not fair. That's not balanced. Newsmax, we describe ourselves as an independent news agency with a conservative perspective. That means that we are open to all perspectives and views, and we have always done that on Newsmax. I think we're more traditional as American media than most and more honest about who we are. And it's one of the reasons we're growing. You know, the Nielsen ratings for the first quarter of this year showed that 34 million Americans tuned into our cable channel alone, up 50% from the previous year, 12 million increase. That doesn't happen by nature. That is a movement, that's a force. And I think it's one of the reasons our stock is doing so well on the New York Stock Exchange, why almost every vector of the company is growing, because we are providing that media, that balance.
Well, it's interesting because the offering, it's a chicken and egg almost. The offering obviously created excitement unto itself, but you were growing. I mean, you were growing regardless of the status of the offering. And now that the offering is here and you're sitting on close to $300 million or more, that money, you people do IPOs and raise money. I've been involved in a few of them in my life. And and we do it to take the entity, the going concern, up to a new platform or a new level of play. Would you say that the $300 million is needed for these five continents around the world? Or is it now just coincidental that as you engage with five continents around the world and some hundreds of nations, that you are now in the position of using that $300 million to further capitalize those marketplaces?
I'd like to buy the Gene Valentino show, but I think with the 300 million, we won't be able to afford it. So that's
Only in
maybe,
my dreams.
yeah. But you are a great, I don't know if most of your listeners know, but you're a great business guy. You have the Midas touch. You were there at the founding of the cable industry with Cellular One. You were the founding CEO, as I recall. So
That's
you've
right.
had a tremendous path, and I'm always appreciative of your business acumen and advice for Newsmax. So we've made clear that we have a lot of room for growth. We have the traditional cable channel, which is still growing at 60 million, about 60 million homes. We have our Newsmax streaming channel, Newsmax 2, which is on Roku and Samsung and Vizio. All the platforms you can get the free streaming channels, fast channels, they call them. We have an app called Newsmax app, and you can download it free on your iPhone or Android or smartphone. You can start with us for free, a free trial. Amazing amount of content that we now have. We even have family-friendly shows like Bonanza and Dragnet and things like this. We have great programs. So check it out. And that's the area for growth. In addition, we have the whole world. Newsmax is now available in about 100 countries, five continents. We're continuing to grow that. So it's been a great ride. And people ask, well, what are we doing with the money and this and that? We have a web page. It's called newsmaxinvest.com.
Yeah.
Newsmaxinvest.com. You go there, you can read what we're doing with our New York Stock Exchange stock, how we're growing the company, how you can participate if you're interested, all our SEC filings, which we urge you to read. All of that good stuff is there, and it's a powerful story. And I think it's one of the reasons we're going up as the economy is going sideways.
Yeah, there's an old saying I've used in business is you compete by differentiating. So when you look out, and I say this more to the folks, less to you, when you look for something to invest in, what I'm looking at is how does a Newsmax, for example, distinguish itself from another 2 dozen outlets out there? And the answer is they have competed by differentiating. While other people are doing some of what Newsmax is doing, I've never seen any one entity do it on all these parallel paths as well as Newsmax does. You have the social media side, you have the streaming side with Newsmax 2, and Newsmax TV itself is where Chris is referring to this culmination of viewership. It's just phenomenal, Chris. In the limited time we have, where's Newsmax going in the next year, 2 or 3, as you see it?
Well, I hope up, but I can't, now we're a public company. You always have to be careful anything you
Yeah.
say about the future. I just see a positive future for the company, maybe because I'm CEO, but I do think the numbers are certainly the prologue. Revenues are up over 300% the past several years. Ratings are way up, and that the continued growth of the company we believe will continue. But people ask me what's the difference between Newsmax and Fox, Gene, and or other media? I'll say just tune in someday to Newsmax. We're on all the cable channels, streaming channels. Look at Fox, look at us. And I think what's happened is people are looking at us and we're growing. Fox is not what it used to be. It's very anti-Trump these days. They're attacking him on tariffs and this and that. And our approach has been to not attack, but to give both sides. And then our website, go to newsmax.com. Look at the headlines there. Compare them to foxnews.com. I think you're going to like what you see.
Yeah, the you mentioned the tariffs, and I think that's absolutely true. What is, in your opinion, the Donald Trump tariffs? How does that impact the way you look at the growth of Newsmax and Newsmax stock in the future? Can you get into that?
Well, the tariffs don't directly impact
Right.
Newsmax, but I can tell you that it'll impact the economy. But I think in the long run, it's a good plan. The president's trying to do fair and free trade deals. He's unwinding 40 years of bad deals. So give him a little time. He's using the tariff as a weapon to get the other countries to drop their tariffs. That's what this is about. But his tax cuts, his lower oil price program, which is working, his deregulation, lower interest rates, all of that's going to kick in over the next 12 months. So be patient. The economy is going to be good.
Well, over 58% of the folks out there prefer Newsmax, and we're looking at ourselves in the middle of a news revolution, as you would say. And in the limited time we have, Chris, would you like to close on something in particular with Newsmax?
Well, just keep watching. We're going to be covering. I'm going to be over in Rome for the conclave of the next pope. We have a lot of coverage going on there. Please download our free app on your iPhone or Android and also check out. We'd love to have you join the news revolution. You can become a shareholder, get more information at newsmaxinvest.com. Read all our filings. Join with us, be with us, and thank you for standing up for America.
And thank you, Chris Ruddy, for joining us here today on another episode of Grassroots Truthcast. Stay tuned for more episodes of Grassroots Truthcast. Folks, and feel free to subscribe. Come to genevalentino.com or grassrootstruthcast.com. Here you'll see our little library I've created of all of the wonderful Newsmax episodes that complement the expansion of the reach that Newsmax is putting out there to the rest of the world. www.genevalentino.com. Please subscribe. Again, our thanks to Chris Ruddy for joining us here, founder and CEO of Newsmax.
Throughout history, the spirit